Alright guys, so in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to cut the jacket sleeves, how to draft it. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to be doing is, you can see this marking here. This is 3/4 of an inch, and this is 3/4 of an inch. So we're first of all going to measure the length of the sleeve. Now we're starting from the mid back of the person. Okay, all right, so let's continue. So this is 3/4. So the back of this person is 18 inches. Okay, so look at what we did here. So this is 18 inches. Now half of 18 is 9 inches. So we're starting the 9 inches from here. We're leaving out 3/4 for sewing. Eventually, when we're going to attach it to the main bodies, the jacket bodies. Okay, all right, so we measure the length, the sleeve length. So the sleeve length is 34. Okay, and then we're adding 3 inches. Okay, 1 2 3, that's for the folding. So now what we're cutting now is the bigger part of the sleeve. All right, so you can see the sleeve here, right? This is the smaller part and this is the bigger part. Okay, all right, so let's continue. All right, so we're just going to do, so we did 2 points, right? 2 points, then we're joining the points. So this is actually where the length stops. This is the extension, the folding, 3 inches. Okay, now from this point, measure 1.5. Then at the bottom here, you have 1 inch. Okay, so you have here, you have 1.5 and 1 inch at the bottom. Now again, as you can see here, we have 3/4 of an inch. So that means we have a point at this. Now you see the relevance of this later. Just keep watching. Now what we're doing here is to get the midpoint of the sleeve. So this is 25, right? Midpoint should be around 12.5. So remember, what we're cutting is the bigger part of the sleeve. Okay, so now we're just going to join these points up till here. Okay, now notice the shape. Now if you notice, the should I say, the tangent is not exactly at that midpoint. It's a little bit above it, so it hits the edge a little bit above that midpoint, then start to come out from there. You see what I mean now? So the midpoint is basically a reference point. So we trace it from that 1 inch down up. So you can see this is where the tangent is. Okay, so now don't make the mistake of just ruling it straight down like this. That will be a problem, a lot of problem. So you have to rule it backwards such that here and here are about the same line. Okay, so that means it goes in and then comes out like this, so that when you're folding it, right, you don't have a shortage. Okay, now here's an important part. This is the round hand. Okay, we're measuring 7 here. The round hand, that is this part, okay, of the jacket sleeve. Okay, now I'll just show you a very brief calculation. This is the way I do it. I'm going to make another video to explain this very well. Now, if you notice in this picture, right, you notice that this is a bigger part, this is a smaller part, right? Now you notice that there's a difference here. Okay, there's a difference here, okay. Now this difference, it depends on how much you want it to be. Okay, I guess this should be around 2 inches, thereabouts, 1.5 or 2 inches. Okay, so there's a calculation you can use to get how much extension you want. All right, so I'll just quickly do that for you here. Now, in case you don't get this, you can just skip it. I'll make a new video to explain what I mean. All right, but try and follow through. All right, so this is a round hand. Let's say this is B is a bigger part, S is the smaller part. Okay, that is the bigger part of the sleeve. The smaller part of the sleeve is represented by S. Okay, so now at the cuff, we want the cuff to be 11.5 inches. Okay, now 11.5 inches plus, now we're going to be sewing it 3/8. All right, 3/8 of an inch. Now 3/8 in 4 places. Now if you have a bit of sewing experience, you should know that the sewing will be in 4 places, right? You're going to add allowance in 4 places, that is on the smaller part and on the bigger part. Okay, so we have 3/8 times 4, that's 1.5. So 1.5 plus 11.5 inches, sorry, that will be 13 inches. Okay, so that means at the cuff, the bigger part of the sleeve, right, plus the smaller part of the sleeve will equal 13 inches in total. Okay, now this is just, so now let's now assume that we want the smaller part, the bigger part, to be more than the smaller part by 1 inch. This is what I mean. Okay, so let's say we want this bigger part, right, to be bigger than the smaller part here. Let's say we want this extension here to be 1 inch. Okay, that means B plus S will be 1 inch, will be 1. That means B will be equals to S plus 1. Okay, let's say we want this to be 2 inches. That means B will be equals to S plus 2. That is, the bigger part will be the smaller part plus extra 2 inches. I hope you get this. Okay, now so we have, that means the bigger part is more than the smaller part by 1 inch. Okay, now, so if we substitute this into this, we have S plus 1. This is just basic algebra. Then we arrive at, that means the smaller part will be 6 inches, right? Then the bigger part will be 7 inches. Now that means if you make the bigger part 7 inches and the smaller part 6 inches, eventually you arrive at your 11.5. That is, the round hand is actually 11.5. Okay, 11.5 inches. Okay, then plus sewing, that's 1.5 inches. Okay, all right, so that's that. So that's how we arrived at that 7 inches we are doing there. Okay, that's just how I do it personally. Okay, it makes it simple. I'll do a more practical method of arriving at this because this is a very useful technique even in other areas of sewing, which we'll get to later on. Okay, where one part is more than the other parts. You want one part to be more than the other parts by a certain amount. Okay, all right, so let's just continue. All right, so here we make this 7 inches. Okay, now again we do the same thing at the round sleeve. Okay, at the round sleeve. Okay, so that means on this point, this is a mid part of this is a round sleeve. Okay, round sleeve part. Okay, so we want this to be, the round sleeve is 15 actually, 15 inches. Okay, and we want the bigger part to be more than the smaller part by a certain amount. That is this particular difference here. Okay, this particular difference I'm highlighting by the mouse here. It is from here to here. Okay, I want it to be a certain amount. So you can make it 2 inches, can make it 3 inches, can make it 2.5, depending on the person, depending on the size of the person. Okay, all right. So in this case now, right, the round sleeve, okay, the round sleeve is 15 inches. Okay, and we want the sewing allowance, right, is 1.5 inches. So that's 3/8 in 4 places. Okay, 3/8 in 4 places. All right, so that means the total will be what? Will be 16.5. That is 15 inches plus 1.5 inches for sewing. So that means the bigger part plus the smaller part will give us 16.5 inches in total. Okay, all right, now we now want the bigger part to be more than the smaller part by 2 inches. Okay, that's what we want. All right, okay, so that means that here will be what? 2 inches. Remember, at the round hand, this is 1 inch. Okay, but here we want it to be 2 inches. Okay, all right, so we'll just use the same formula. Okay, we use the same formula. So we have so we'll just put this, okay, into this. Okay, so do your algebra. You have S, the smaller part will now be 7.25. That's 7.25. Okay, while the bigger part, put S back into this, you now have 9.25. That's 9.25. So that means we have a very accurate value there. Okay, so that's what we did here. So that means this will be what? This will be 9.25. 9.25. Can you see? So this will be 9.25 here. Okay, remember this is 7. All right, now again you extend this, make it go down. Okay, now this is the cap of the sleeve. Okay, you can have a high cap or a low cap, depends on what you want to do. Okay, depends on what you want to do. It depends on how fitting the cloth is. Okay, so there are several methods for this, but just follow this step. This is just a basic method. Okay, so just really the major points you need are the round sleeve points and the round hand. Okay, all right, so just rule this down. Now again, don't make the mistake of doing it straight down. You have problems, right? You not have problems, but so can you see, whatever the measurement is, just about 3 inches upward, whatever the measurement is here, this must not be less, because you are folding this in eventually when you are sewing, folding this in. So if this is shorter than this place, you're in trouble. Okay, you are not in trouble. Okay, but you might be in trouble. All right, enough of that. Okay. All right. So you have that 7.5. So you make it 7.5, or even more. You can trim it later. So you can make it slightly more, maybe 7.75. All right. So our bigger part is almost done. So you get the midpoint, just about the midpoint. That's about 5 inches. So just trace it up to the edge and then bring it down. So the bigger part of our sleeve is done. Now we're left with the smaller part. So there are two methods we can do. We can either, assuming we were doing drafting it on the fabric direct, okay, we can just place this on the fabric. Okay, let me just leave that out for later. Okay, so we're doing it differently. Okay, there's a way you can do it together. Okay, but it's still the same thing. All right, so we're basically getting the length. Okay, the length. So we get the 2 points again. All right, so we have the length and then the extension, the folding. Now we are getting a reference line. A reference is straight line. A reference line so that we can get this particular shape, this exact shape that we had here. So we could have just cut this out and then place it here and just cut out this shape at this edge. Okay, this shape right here. But we'll just do it again, all over again. Okay, so we're getting a straight line. That's just a reference line. Okay, so this is just a reference line. It's not part of the measurements. Okay, so again, like we did earlier. Now remember, in the other case, we did 1.5 inches here. Okay, but here we'll do 1 inch. Then we also do 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, this is 3/4. Okay, so we'll also do 3/4 here. So the earlier one was an error. Okay. So we have our 1 inch. Remember we did 1 inch there. So we have our 1 inch here also. Now remember we've already done our calculation. So we did 7 inches and then what was the second thing we calculated? 7 inches and then 6 inches. Okay. So the bigger part was 7 inches, the smaller part 6 inches. Okay, now just to demonstrate, if you wanted this to be 2 inches, what will happen? That means all this will just be what? 2. Okay, 2. And then this will be 2. Okay, and then this will be 2. And then this will be 11. And then this will be 5.5. That's 5.5 inches. Okay. And then this will be 5.5 plus 2. And then this will be 7.5. Yeah, so the sum will still give you 13. Am I correct? 7 plus 5. Yes, the sum will still give you 13. Okay? But the difference will be 2. Can you see? So the sum will still give you 13. The difference will be 2. Okay? So if you try 4, okay, so again, the sum 8.5 plus 4.5 is 13, but the difference is what? 4. Can you see? So the sum, the round hand remains exactly what you want it to be. The only thing that is changing is the difference. Okay? All right, so I'll just leave that as that. All right, so let's get back to what we were doing. So we already calculated the round sleeve, the smaller part, as 7.25. That's 7.25. Okay, so okay, we're just basically doing the shape all over again, just like we did here. So you have the shape going all in. And then coming out here. Okay, so again, make it go out. So we have our 6 inches here. Remember how we did our calculation? We have our 6 inches here. Now here we have what? We have 7.25. Remember, this is 9.25. Okay, remember this is 9.25. This will be 7.25. So can you see? Seven and quarter. Okay. So again, just shape it in. Comes out about 3/4 there and thereabouts. Just shape of this ruler here. Okay, you notice about 3/4 thereabouts. So comes out here also. Okay, so about 3 inches up from here, you have 6.25, then 6.25 there. Now, so you have the flap. Now, this is not a functional sleeve. Okay, so it has one flap. So I just put in the flap there. For a functional sleeve, it's still basically the same thing. It only has another flap on the bigger panel. All right. So again, you get the midpoint, and then we shape it. So that's the inseam. That's the seam length. Okay. 21¼ . So you add ½ inch to that. So you make it slightly more than what is here. So you shape it. Now we're still going to dress the sleeve eventually when we're finishing the jacket. Okay, the finishing stages. So this is a draft. So that's the midpoint. They're about 3¾ . So just basically shape it in. Now this is not fixed. This shaping in is not fixed. Okay, there's still going to be a lot of dressing. If you are, by the time you want to fix the sleeve at the final stage of the jacket, you're still going to dress it, but make sure it doesn't go in too much. Okay, now at this stage, when you are trimming the sleeve, you can still trim it slightly inwards, depending on the armhole and a number of things. Okay, so just make sure you don't shape it in. In fact, you can still leave it this way, coming out like this is fine. I'm still going to dress it eventually. Okay, all right. So if you want to learn our method of our technique of jacket making, you can just click the link in the bio, the description below. All right, so you can get to learn that. Okay, all right, so you can do that. So basically our jacket sleeve draft is done. In case you want to watch how we drafted the bodies, okay, you can just click the link somewhere around here, okay, to watch that. All right, so this is the bending is 3 inches, the round hand is 11½, the round sleeve is 15. Okay, so in an industrial setting, the person who's going to join the sleeve will know how much how the measurement is and how to join it. Okay, all right, so thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.